You know, when you picture high-stakes corporate litigation, there is this classic Hollywood image that always comes to mind.
Oh yeah, the massive mahogany-paneled conference room. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Floor-to-ceiling bankers' boxes just stuffed with millions of printed emails. And at the center of it all, a team of exhausted junior lawyers pulling all-nighters.
Fueled by, like, truly terrible coffee.
Right, bad coffee and sheer panic, just hunting for that one smoking gun document.
The infamous needle in the haystack.
Yeah.
And honestly, for decades, that image wasn't entirely wrong.
It really wasn't. Complex litigation required this massive, incredibly expensive human effort just to figure out what the evidence actually said.
But, I mean, imagine walking into that exact same conference room today. Instead of a dozen exhausted lawyers flipping through paper, there was just a server humming quietly in the corner.
Yeah, and that server isn't just, running a basic keyword search for the needle. That server is actually reading the entire haystack.
Right. It's analyzing the haystack, cross-referencing it, and then writing you a multi-page legal memo about where the needle is.
And why it matters to your case, and who tried to hide it. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is to explore how artificial intelligence, specifically generative and agentic AI, is actively rewriting the rules of the high-stakes legal world.
We are looking at a market that is currently in a genuine structural shift.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the legal framework is built on centuries of human-centric precedent.
Yeah.
And right now, it is completely scrambling to catch up with machines that are making highly complex sequential decisions.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our foundation today is a brilliant piece of source material. It's called an eDiscovery Vendor Selection Guide for the AI Era 2026 edition.
Written by Patrick Matthews, who has, over 20 years of experience in this specific space?
It's over 20 years, yeah. And whether you work in legal tech, corporate procurement, or, you're just deeply fascinated by how real-world AI is actually deployed when billions of dollars are on the line, this guide is your survival manual.
Absolutely. We are not talking about abstract AI theories today.
No, this is about how companies are desperately trying to buy AI services without stepping on massive legal and financial landmines.
Because before you can even begin to navigate the risks, you have to understand the mechanics of what the AI is actually doing, and crucially, why companies are absolutely rushing to buy it.
Right. And the short answer to that, it is completely tanking the biggest cost center in the legal industry.
It really is.
So let's get into the mechanics then. The text breaks down this AI capability spectrum, because we aren't just talking about a single AI tool, right? There's a whole stack here.
Yeah, there is a distinct spectrum. It starts with what the industry now considers the established baseline, which is technology-assisted review, or TAR.
Okay, TAR.
Specifically a flavor called continuous active learning, or CAL. Think of this as like an algorithmic shadow.
An algorithmic shadow. I like that. How does that work?
Well, human attorneys make review decisions. They click relevant or not relevant on a document.
Wow.
And the system's statistical model watches those clicks and brings similar documents to the front of the line.
So it's basically a highly advanced sorting hat.
Exactly. The courts like it, it's well validated, but it fundamentally still relies on human reading.
So it's sorting the mail, not comprehending the letters.
Precisely. The real battleground today is generative AI. We are talking about using GPT-4 class large language models to actually process the text.
Right.
Instead of a human clicking relevant, the generative model reads the document against a set of legal instructions. Then it generates its own relevance determination.
Wow.
And it does this complete with a written explanation of its reasoning.
That is a massive leap. But the source material introduces a third tier that honestly feels a little bit like science fiction.
Yeah.
Except it is apparently happening right now.
Oh, it is. Agentic AI workflows.
Yeah, agentic AI. Break that down for me, because how does an agent differ from a standard generative model, like practically speaking?
It comes down to autonomy and task chaining. A standard generative AI model is reactive. You give it a document, you ask a question, it gives you an answer.
And then it stops.
Right, it stops. Agentic AI is proactive. These systems plan and execute multi-step tasks.
Give me an example of that.
Let's say you tell an agentic AI, reconstruct a timeline of what our former chief financial officer did on the day the merger leaked.
So you're not just pointing it to one email.
Not at all. The agent will formulate its own search queries. It will pull the CFO's emails. Then it might realize there's a gap in the timeline.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it will pivot entirely on its own and write a new query to check the CFO's Slack messages. It will correlate a file downloaded from a shared drive with a text message sent 3 minutes later,
That is wild. It pieces together evidence from completely disparate sources.
with almost no human direction. It's functioning like a digital junior partner managing an investigative project.
And, I mean, that explains the cost revolution. The numbers here are just staggering. Historically, simply reviewing documents has been the single largest cost driver in eDiscovery.
Easily the largest.
But industry analysts project that review spending is going to drop from 64% of total market spend in 2024 down to just 52% by 2029.
And that drop is happening because the per document cost is plummeting. We are looking at generative AI-assisted review clustering between just 11 cents and 50 cents per document.
Based on winter 2026 surveys, yeah. And the major vendors are completely overhauling their pricing models to reflect this reality, right?
They have to. In 2025, companies like RelativityOne and Everlaw started bundling these key generative AI capabilities into their standard pricing for most use cases.
At no extra charge.
Exactly. And by early 2026, Disco moved to a single per gigabyte fee that covers its entire AI suite.
It's like moving from paying for a taxi by the mile where you're watching the meter tick up in a panic to just buying an all-you-can-ride subway pass.
That is a perfect analogy.
But hold on, I have to push back here. If this machine is acting as a junior partner and doing 80% of the heavy lifting for like 11 cents a document,
I know where you're going with this.
why are corporate legal bills still astronomical? Where are those savings actually going? Because I guarantee you, law firms aren't just handing that money back to the client out of the goodness of their hearts.
They absolutely are not. That is the million-dollar question, and the source answers it perfectly with this concept of the hidden cost of AI quality control.
The hidden cost.
Yeah, the total cost of the legal process doesn't magically disappear, right?
Wow.
It shifts up the value chain.
So the labor changes.
Entirely. You are no longer paying an army of entry-level reviewers a low hourly rate to do the initial repetitive reading.
Right, because the AI does that now.
Exactly. Instead, you are paying a much smaller team of highly specialized senior attorneys a premium hourly rate to validate the AI's complex decisions.
Ah, I see. Someone still has to legally stand behind a privilege designation.
Yes, someone has to audit the AI's privilege logs to ensure a protected communication wasn't accidentally flagged for release. You essentially trade thousands of cheap review hours for hundreds of highly expensive quality control hours.
So, okay, if courts are dealing with a reality where autonomous agents are making massive, complex decisions to save time, how is a judge supposed to know the machine isn't just hallucinating evidence or missing crucial facts?
What's fascinating here is that the courts are actively developing the rules for this exact problem in real time.
Really? Like, as we speak?
Yes. Federal judges are no longer just accepting an attorney's word that the review is done properly. They are demanding documented AI controls. Look at Jeffries v. Harcross Chemicals, Inc. from early 2026.
What happened there?
The judge in Jeffries flat out refused to accept the AI-assisted review until the producing party provided a highly detailed disclosure.
Disclosure of what, exactly?
The court wanted to know the exact underlying AI models used, the specific validation protocols, and the human oversight steps.
So it wasn't enough to just say we used AI and it's fine.
Not at all. The judge essentially demanded the algorithm's resume and a transparent audit of its performance review before allowing the case to move forward.
That makes total sense to me. I mean, you want to look under the hood of the machine. But there is another case in here that I find incredibly confusing. Tremblay v. OpenAI, Inc. from 2024.
Yes. The prompt case.
Yeah. The text mentions that the exact way a lawyer types a prompt into an AI could be legally protected as opinion work product.
It was a huge shift.
But wait, how does typing a sentence like, summarize these emails, constitute a protected professional legal opinion?
Well, it wouldn't if the prompt was that simple. But think about how an attorney actually uses these systems for complex analysis.
Okay.
To get the AI to properly evaluate a massive data set, the attorney has to write a highly engineered prompt. It includes their specific legal theories, the nuances of the case, and the exact red flags they're looking for.
Oh, I see. So the prompt itself is basically a map of the lawyer's brain.
Exactly. The court in Tremblay recognized that an attorney-crafted prompt is not just a search query. It is a direct manifestation of the attorney's mental impressions and legal strategy.
And revealing that prompt to the opposing side would essentially hand them your entire playbook.
Right. Now, different judicial circuits are still debating this, but it highlights how the fundamental definition of what constitutes legal work is totally shifting.
And this ties directly into the concept of defensibility. The source material constantly hammers on defensibility.
Because it's everything. Can you defend your process in front of a judge?
Right. It mentions Rule 26F, disclosures, where you have to tell the other side how you are processing evidence, but it also stresses the critical need for Rule 502D orders. Why are those so important now?
A Rule 502 aider is a court protection against inadvertent waivers of privilege.
Okay, so making a mistake.
Yeah. In the old days, human reviewers occasionally missed a privileged document and handed it over to the opposing side by mistake. It happens.
Sure.
But with agentic AI, the sheer velocity of the processing creates a terrifying risk. An AI can process millions of records in hours.
So if it makes a mistake.
Exactly. If there is a slight flaw in the prompt or a minor hallucination in the model, the machine could rapidly misclassify thousands of highly privileged, confidential corporate strategy documents.
And package them for delivery to your opponent?
All in the blink of an eye.
Right.
You need that court order in place so that if the machine makes a high-speed error, you don't permanently waive your legal protections.
Wow. So courts demand total transparency. You have to explain exactly how the AI works and disclose your methods to the judge.
Yes.
But to get that AI to actually think and perform that analysis, lawyers have to feed their most confidential evidence into an algorithm.
And that's where the real panic starts.
Right. Where does that data actually go when they press analyze? Because a modern litigation data set isn't just a neat stack of corporate memos anymore.
Not at all. The source refers to it as a multimodal mess.
I love that term, multimodal mess, because if you think about it, standard email review is like reading a book. It's linear.
Very straightforward.
But a modern 500 gigabyte data map. It's Slack channels, Microsoft Teams threads, Zoom audio transcripts, WebEx, WhatsApp messages.
It's chaos.
It's more like trying to follow a conversation taking place simultaneously via walkie-talkie, sticky notes, and a shared whiteboard. Teams data has reactions, emojis that change meaning based on context.
Right, the thumbs up could mean, I approve this illegal act, or just, got your message.
Exactly, and there are shared files, continuous threads. It's incredibly complex.
And that precise complexity is why legal teams have no choice but to use advanced language models to parse it. Humans just can't do it efficiently anymore. But this creates a catastrophic due diligence issue. Many eDiscovery vendors, companies selling these shiny new review platforms, don't build their own massive language models from scratch.
Because that would cost billions of dollars.
Right, so they power their platforms using third-party APIs.
An API being like the software pipe that connects two different systems together.
Yes, they are plugging their software into OpenAI's models or Google's or Anthropic's.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Which means when an attorney clicks Analyze on a document, that highly sensitive confidential litigation file is literally being transmitted outside the vendor's secure infrastructure.
It goes through that API pipe.
Directly to third-party tech giant servers.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Are you telling me companies are seriously at risk of accidentally training global AI models with their confidential litigation documents?
Yeah.
Like, could I feed my company's secret, unannounced merger strategy into an eDiscovery tool, and then next week, my competitor asks ChatGPT for merger rumors, and it spits out my exact strategy?
That's not just a hypothetical. That is the core data security risk of the AI era right now. It is exactly why the text introduces the absolute necessity of the no training commitment.
The no training commitment, which sounds like a very firm legal boundary.
It has to be. The guide stresses that you cannot rely on a vendor's verbal promises.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we won't use your data.
Yeah, that's not going to hold up.
You need a hard, written, legally enforceable rule in your vendor contract. It must state that neither they nor their third-party API providers are permitted to use your client data to train, fine-tune, or improve their AI models, period.
And if they need to monitor it for safety,
Any limited use of data for basic safety monitoring has to be explicitly disclosed and tightly constrained.
it's just a massive blind spot. I mean, a corporate general counsel would never just hand their trade secrets to a random person on the street.
Never.
But if they don't audit the API terms of service, they might accidentally hand those same secrets to a global LLM.
And the complexity compounds when you factor in cross-border regulations, too, like the GDPR in Europe.
Oh, right. European privacy laws are notoriously strict.
Very. Under traditional data laws, the focus was on data residency, meaning where does the physical hard drive storing the data actually live?
Keep the servers in Germany, you're fine.
Exactly. But with AI, you have to worry about the geographic location of the AI inference.
What does inference actually mean in this context?
Inference is the moment the AI does its thinking. It's the computation part.
Okay.
So your data might be safely stored on a hard drive in Frankfurt, Germany. But if the API pipe sends that data to a server in California to perform the mathematical inference, to actually analyze the text and apply a label, you have just transmitted protected European data out of the jurisdiction.
Without even moving the file permanently.
Right. So if you have international data, you must ask vendors at the proposal stage if they can provide local in-country AI inference.
So because the data risks are so catastrophic and the mechanics of the tech are evolving almost wintly, buying this technology the old way is clearly a recipe for disaster.
It's completely broken.
How does a company actually evaluate and hire an AI vendor without getting taken advantage of by, like, a slick marketing pitch?
You have to completely rewrite the math on how you evaluate them. The guide provides a specific weighted scorecard for requests for proposals, or RFPs.
Okay, lay out the new math for me.
Historically, procurement teams heavily weighed traditional technical capabilities. Things like, how fast can your servers process files? What does your hosting infrastructure look like?
Server stuff.
Yeah, IT stuff. Today, according to this 2026 scorecard, those traditional capabilities should only account for about 15% of your decision.
That is a massive demotion, 15%.
It has to be, because now AI capabilities should account for 25% of the weight.
Okay.
And AI data security and model governance should be another 20%. Defensibility and audit trails take up 15%.
You are literally evaluating the vendor more on how they govern the neural network than on how they host the actual files.
Absolutely.
The source is also adamant that you can't just trust a slick demo where a salesperson runs a perfectly rehearsed query.
Never trust the demo.
You need a proof of concept, right? A paid pilot project on your own data. It suggests running 500 megabytes to 5 gigabytes of real, complex data. But when you run that test, the terminology in the guide gets highly technical. What exactly am I supposed to be measuring? Because it mentions illusion rates and recall accuracy.
Those are your two vital metrics. The illusion rate measures what the AI missed.
What it missed, okay.
If the AI says 10,000 documents are not relevant, you take a random sample of those, have a human read them, and calculate the percentage of actually relevant documents that slip through the cracks. That's illusion.
Okay. And recall accuracy.
Recall measures the completeness of what it found. Of all the truly relevant documents that exist in the entire dataset, what percentage did the AI successfully identify?
I see. So if it only finds half the relevant documents, it has terrible recall, even if every single document it did find was correct.
Exactly. And during this pilot phase, you are really looking for what the guide calls the ultimate red flag, the black box.
Yes. The black box.
It is a defensibility disaster. If your vendor's AI labels a document as highly relevant and you ask the vendor, hey, how did the model arrive at this conclusion?
Yeah.
And their answer is, we don't know. The algorithm just output that label. You need to walk away immediately.
Because if you can't explain the mathematical reasoning to a judge, you lose.
Exactly. A black box classification where you only have the final label, the zero insight into the logic or the weights the model applied, it will likely not withstand a challenge from opposing counsel.
There are a few other incredibly specific red flags for 2026 mentioned here. One that really caught my eye was the danger of a vendor updating the underlying AI model mid-matter without telling the client.
That's a huge one.
At first glance, you'd think getting a software update is a good thing, like getting the newest iPhone OS. Why is that a severe process failure?
Because a large language model is not a traditional search engine. It's a vast web of mathematical probabilities.
Right.
If a vendor silently updates the model, say, OpenAI releases a new version of GPT-4 overnight, the underlying probability weights shift.
So the math changes.
Entirely. The mathematical reasoning the AI uses to define a concept like fraud or intent on Tuesday might be entirely different from the reasoning it used on Monday.
Oh, wow.
If you are halfway through a review, there is no way to prove that the AI's decisions made before the update are logically consistent with the decisions made after. It shatters the defensibility of the entire project.
That makes total sense. You're changing the rules of the game at halftime.
Exactly. Another massive red flag is around privilege logs.
Oh, right, because AI is now capable of drafting privilege log entries, isn't it? Basically writing the explanation for why a document is being withheld from the other side.
It can do it, yes.
Yeah.
But the guide warns that generating and producing these designations without human attorney review creates massive waiver risks.
So you can't just let it run on autopilot.
You cannot let the machine finalize a privilege call entirely on its own. The market is consolidating around these rapid workflows. By early 2026, Major full-service providers like Haystack ID were outright acquiring AI startups like eDiscovery AI just to integrate these capabilities directly into their core offering.
They're just buying the tech outright to keep up.
Right. The tech is incredibly powerful, but you must know exactly who is running the oversight layer. If the AI starts hallucinating cases or making systematic errors on privilege, what is the human escalation protocol?
So what does this all mean? We started by talking about those Hollywood bankers boxes and the exhausted human reviewers.
Feels like a lifetime ago.
It really does. The transition to generative and agentic AI has undeniably brought blinding speed and incredible cost reduction per document.
Without a doubt.
But at its absolute core, buying eDiscovery AI is not a technology acquisition. It is a massive risk management exercise. The tools can read, plan, and execute. But the necessity for sharp human oversight attorneys validating the logic, IT locking down those API pipes, is higher today than it has ever been.
If we connect this to the bigger picture for you, the listener, whether you are managing a single corporate dispute or overseeing massive recurring global litigation, this guide proves that your job has fundamentally changed.
Yeah.
Asking the right, highly technical questions is now 90% of the battle. You have to demand methodological transparency, enforce strict no-training commitments, and validate performance on your own messy, multimodal data.
It's about looking past the marketing buzzwords and demanding mechanistic proof, but I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Okay.
Throughout this deep dive, we've talked about how, right now, we demand strict human-in-the-loop oversight. We force tired, overworked attorneys to double-check the machine to catch its mistakes and prevent a catastrophe.
Right, that's the current standard.
But as agentic AI continues to relentlessly improve its recall accuracy and its reasoning capabilities, at what point in the very near future does the machine become so flawlessly consistent that inserting a tired, biased, easily distracted human reviewer actually introduces more legal errors than it prevents?
That's a scary thought.
And when that inevitable day arrives, will the courts start penalizing lawyers for not trusting the machine?